Hey everyone, welcome back to another video tutorial. Many of us are using Visual Studio Code text editor for web development purpose. But there are so many options out there. Why do you use Visual Studio Code? The answer is Visual Studio Code is lightweight, customizable, popular, and very powerful tool. We can use many Visual Studio Code extensions to make Visual Studio Code more powerful and enjoyable. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the extensions that I regularly use to make my development process more faster and enjoyable. I'm sure throughout this video, you're going to learn the uses of many extensions. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to share and don't forget to comment what are the extensions that you have found very useful. Alright, here you can see that my Visual Studio Code is open and I have loaded a folder called VS Code extension. You can name the folder anything and load in your VS Code, doesn't matter. Now first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a very basic index.html file. Let's do that. Here I'm going to create basic structure of HTML file and then I'm going to just, show something on the screen. That's why I'm going to use h1. And let's say welcome to VS Code extensions. Okay, fair enough. Let's do that. Great. And now if I want to see the output for sure, you know that I can go to the file. You can see this is the index.html file that I created and I can open with any browser. For instance, I'm going to use Google Chrome here, which is the default one for my case. And I can see already the output is here. Great. Now the problem is every time if I write something, let's do that. Let's add something new. Here I'm going to add a new line. Let's use H2 in this case. And let's say I am Anisul Islam. All right. And now I have saved it. I just need to go back to the browser. It does not show the output, the current one. It is supposed to show this I am Anisul Islam text, but it is not visible here. And the reason is I have to reload this one. So every time I make a change, I need to come back to the browser and I need to reload, which is time consuming and something we really do not do nowadays because we have a cool extension that we can use for this reason. Just to avoid this reloading every time after making every single changes, you can use an extension and that extension is called Live Server extension. Now, how can you install the extensions in Visual Studio Code? In order to install any extension, all you need to do, you need to go to this setting here, and then you need to go to the extensions, and then you can look for an extension that you want to install. So for my case, I'm going to install Live Server. That's my first extension I want to share with you. Let me reload required. That was something required, so I just reloaded it again. And now I'm going to search for the Live Server one more time, and then I'm going to install it. So here, you can see this is the one actually we want to install and the installation is around 49.9 million. So the number is huge. Let's install it and it's going to do that. Now we can see that it's already installed. Let's try to see how this Visual Studio Code now going to use this Live Server extension. So let's do that. Here I have the exact same file. I'm going to run with Visual Studio Code this time, with Live Server this time. So let's click on the right button and then you'll see open with Live Server. This is where I'm going to click and then I have the output here. Now, what are the changes this time will happen? Let's see. If I add something new here, so let's add a paragraph. Let's say, hello, I am a new paragraph. I am from Bangladesh, something like this, whatever. And now if I save it immediately, when I come back, I can see the output is already reloaded here. So again, I'm sure you got the idea of using Live Server. The Live Server extension basically create a local development server for us that will reload features like automatically static or dynamic pages automatically for us every time. That means that every time you save your HTML, CSS or JavaScript file, the browser will automatically refresh to show the changes. Okay, I'm sure it makes sense. Now let's move on for the next extension. The next one is going to be Live Preview. So let me go to the extension from here. I can use the extension from here. I can just click and then I can search for Live Preview. All right, I have already installed this one, but for this example, for this video, I'm going to uninstall and then I'm going to install again. There you go. And now let's see how this Live Preview is going to help us. So this is an extension basically provides an in-editor browser preview. That means in VS Code, you can see the browser preview. So what you have to do in this case, you have to click on the right button and then you can see this show preview. You can click here and there you go. Now you have an in-editor browser preview. This basically allowing us to see our web application in action side by side with our code. It updates in real time as we edit our files. So for an instance, if I add something here, let's say just after this line, let me add a button here and let's say learn more, and immediately you can see the output basically showing here. I'm going to write down all the extension name here down below so that maybe in the end of the video we can review them one more time. So the first one I have explained is called live server. I'm sure you get that already. And then the second one we discussed called live preview. Let me change the order, by the way, 1, 2, and then I'm going to comment this one and also this one. Let's move on with the third extension, which is going to be called vscode-pets. So let me write it down here. vscode-pets. Let me search this extension and let me show you how to use this extension. It's a very cool extension, honestly. vscode-pets basically it adds a fun element to your coding environment by allowing you to adopt a virtual pet, and that will live in your status bar. So basically here you can have a pet. Let me show you how to use this one. So here I'm going to search for vscode-pets. And let me make it this one a little bit bigger so that you can see. There you go. You can see the vscode-pets. Let me write down the extension name really well, exactly according to the order. And let me install this. You can see 1 million people have already installed this one, which is also a very popular one. Now that this one is installed, I can show you how to use this one. You can see vscode-pets here in the status bar. If I click this one, there is a cat you can see. And you can just click here. You can have fun with this one. You can change for sure, and in order to change this one you can also have fun here, like you can throw a ball. You can see that ball has been thrown from here. You can delete this one. You can add a chicken. You can add different type of pet. I can add a horse here. Then I can choose what type of horse I want to select, maybe white, and then I can give a name for the horse. Let's say here I will say dragon, even though that name does not sounds good, but there you go. Now I have two here. One is the cat, another one is the horse, and I can delete them anytime. For an example, if I have to delete anyone, I will just click and then I will choose the name here, that one I want to delete. So for an instance, I want to delete my white horse, and there you go. Now white horse is not here anymore, but the cat is still there. But the reason why I personally use vscode-pets, I feel like that it adds fun, motivational element to my coding, and it also helped me to reduce stress and make coding session more enjoyable. That's my personal thinking, by the way. Now our next extension is going to be one of the most popular extension called Prettier Code Formatter. So let me write it down here. Prettier Code Formatter. There you go. Just a little bit time I'm taking. Prettier Code Formatter. Okay. Now first of all, you need to know why do you need extension. So let me give you a demo here. For an example, if I keep the button here and if I keep the H2 here, of course you can see things are unorganized for sure, and it's not formatted because I'm not using any code formatter extension. So what I can do, I can install one of the most popular formatter, which is something I already mentioned, called Prettier Code Formatter. Let's search for this one. And then let's wait a little bit. There you go. You can see it is installed 45.5 million. My goodness. So let me install this one as well. And then let me show you how this one basically work in an action. So here, if I now save it, immediately you see what's the difference it's making. So when I saved, immediately it has organized my code. Again, why do you need Prettier Code Formatter? It is one of the most popular code formatter. It supports many languages for sure, and it reduces the amount of code style discussion in your code reviews. That's something probably you can see later. Ensures your code consistency as well. Our next extension is going to be auto rename tag. Let me write it down here. Auto rename tag, which is another handy tool or extension. To rename tag. Let me show you. For an instance, let's say you want to change H2 into H3. Then in this case, what you have to do, you have to just write it down here in the beginning or the starting tag h3, but it does not change the end tag, so you have to do it manually. You have to come here and also change the name in order to be consistent here. So what we can see that like we have to rename twice for a tag, but there is an extension that is going to save your time. So if you change the tag name in one place, it will make sure to update in another. So that means if I update the starting tag, it will automatically update the ending one. If I update the ending one, it will automatically update the starting part. So let me show you in action how basically this extension going to help us. So here I'm going to search for auto rename tag. Let's do that real quick. And it should be here. Just a moment, it should come here. There you go. Now I'm going to install this. This one is also popular. I saw like 18 million installed. Now let's try to see whether it's going to help us or not. So for an instance, if I have to change in here, let's say I want to make it h2, immediately you can see it is changing in both places. If I change here, let's say if I make it h3, you can see it is changing in both places. Extension number 6 is going to be HTML and tag labels. Let me write it down here for you. 6 HTML and tag labels. There you go. Labels. Now what does this extension does for us? Let me give you a demo first. Why do you need this extension? And then I will add the extension. So here let's create a div with an ID called first div for an example, and then I'm going to put some text in the paragraph. So lorem 10, and there you go. Inside this div I'm going to create another div. Let's call it second div, and then I'm going to add one more paragraph here as well. Just I'm trying to make a deep structure here. So then I'm going to add some paragraph here, and in the end I'm going to make another paragraph just inside this one, and I'm going to add a paragraph inside this one. Let's call lorem 15 here, lorem 15. There you go. And one more thing I would love to do here, I would love to give an ID to this one. Let's call it third div for an instance. Okay. Now you can see we have a very deep structure. And if I tell you which div basically this one is referring, whether it's referring to third div, second div, or first div, you really cannot say that by looking at this and tag. So that's why we are going to install this extension called HTML and tag labels, and this will help us to add a label to the end of an HTML tag so that you can see the corresponding opening tag. This is very useful, especially when you have a deep nested HTML structure like this. So let me add that extension here, HTML and tag labels, and then I'm going to install it. Of course, you can see the number of extension, it's also huge. Now that we have installed it, let's see things are in action. Hey, we can see a magic here. By looking at this and tag, you can see that this is basically belongs to the third div. This one belongs to the second div, and this one belongs to the first div. You can see those text here that is added by these HTML and tag labels extensions. So again, what are the benefits of this extension? It enhances the readability of HTML code, make it easier to identify matching opening and closing tags. It's very useful for debugging and also editing large HTML files. The next extension I'm going to introduce here is called Indent Rainbow. Let me write it down and then I will show you what basically this extension does for us. So here I'm going to write it down. All right, let me use the capitalization here, Indent Rainbow. This is the extension. It's another cool extension, but before even starting with that extension, what I would love to show you, please have a look here, all this indentation color. So you can see there like one color everywhere. Please have a closer look, because after installing that extension, you will see some differences here for sure. But at this moment, look at this indent color. So let me add the extension now, and then you will see the difference. Indent Rainbow. That's the extension that I'm going to install, and let's install this. This one is also one of the popular extension. I can see 7.8 million installs. I have installed it now, and this should make some difference. Of course, you can see the readme, you can go through the readme, and this will give you some idea, but now you can see a change here. all the indentation, they have different colors. So basically what this one does for us, it colorizes the indentation levels in our code. Each level of indentation is given a different color, which basically helps us to visualize the structure of the code. So again, it improves the readability of intended code, helps us to quickly identify misaligned or incorrect indentation. This is very useful for languages like Python or JavaScript. You'll see that in action, but at least you can see the difference here immediately. The next extension I'm going to introduce here is one of the most powerful extension from my point of view. If you would love to share screenshot with others, so let me write it down. The name of the extension, it's called CodeSnap. Let me just finish it, and now we can search for this one. So let's say you want to take a screenshot of your HTML file or maybe JavaScript code. Let me write down a little bit JavaScript just to make it more funny. So here we have index.js, and then I can write some of the for loop for an instance, and I have a for loop here. Don't bother about the things that I have, but at least let me just make it a little bit better here, and let's say console log index. Okay, so I have a pretty simple JavaScript code. You do not need to understand this in order to see the uses of the extension that I'm going to show you, which is the CodeSnap in this case. So let's say you want to take a screenshot of this one. Let me add a few more. Let's add one more loop here, for each loop maybe, and then let's put some value here, 1, 2, 3, and then let's print the element here. Let's say element. Okay. So I want to take a screenshot of this one, and I would love to share with somebody else. Let's search for it. It's called CodeSnap, something you have already seen that I have written, and it is one of the most popular one as well. You can see 2 million installed already. So let me install this. You can go through the README and then you can understand how to use this one, but let me show you real quick. All you have to do now, let me close this one. So all you have to do, let's say if you want to use CodeSnap, you have to try Command Shift P if you are using Mac, but if you are using Windows, maybe you have to use Control Shift P, and then you need to search for CodeSnap here. You can see I have the CodeSnap here. If I click, and then there you go. Now it's time to use this extension. So if you select something, immediately you'll be able to see those selection that you have. Let me just make it real quick just to show you how basically things are working. And let me drag this one a little bit here. So let's say if I select this much, immediately you can see they're in this snapshot. And now I can share this one with anyone, but still it's not ready. You need to take the screenshot. So if you select the code, immediately all those selection will be in the screenshot. There you go. And now all you need to do, you need to click here, and it will take a picture of the code that you have here, and I can save this one in my desktop or anywhere. After saving it, I'm going to show you how does it look like. So let me show you. I have saved it here, code.png, and just a moment, it's still opening. There you go. You can see this screenshot looks very professional, beautiful, easy to understand, and it removes a lot of hassle that previously we used to do when we used to take screenshot for sure. So I hope you have understood the uses of this extension. Again, this basically allows us to take beautiful screenshot of our code. It lets us to highlight the portion of the code that we want to capture, and then generates an image that can be shared or saved. I hope this makes sense. Let's continue with the next extension, which is going to be called Image Preview, another cool extension. I will show you the use cases of this extension. So let's write it down, Image Preview. Hey, there you go. That's the extension that we are going to see how basically it works. So first of all, I need an image here. Let's do that. I need to find an image that I want to add to my HTML. So let me add that image that you can see, code.png, something we just taken a screenshot a few moments ago. I have bought this image here, and let's say you want to add this image to your HTML file. So what basically you need to do, you know that you have to use image tag. Let's do that. Here I'm going to use image tag to add the image, and then I need to tell the source, which is basically this code.png, and there you go. Immediately you can see there is a preview I have here for this image, and the reason is I'm using the extension called Image Preview. Now let me remove this extension here. then you can see the difference. Image preview, this is the extension that we're going to install. In our case, in my case, actually it's already installed, so let me uninstall it. Reload required. Let me reload, and now you won't see that preview that previously it was showing here because the extension I have already uninstalled. Now let me install that again back. So image preview, great, and let me install it now, and you'll see the difference for sure after the installation. Still it's installing, and there you go, it's done. Immediately you can see the preview. So I hope this makes sense. Image preview extension basically allows us to see image preview directly in our VS Code editor. When you hover over the image file in your code, a preview of the image will be also displayed. So let me show you what does this means. So this is the code.png we have. If we hover over, let's go back to the PNG one. So if we hover over the image, it should show the preview already. You know, anytime you can see that preview basically here. Beautiful, isn't it? Our next extension is going to be GitHub theme. So let me write it down. Extension number 10, it's going to be GitHub themes. All right, let me write it, GitHub theme. And let's try to see how basically this one will make changes to our VS Code. So I'm going to install GitHub theme here. And we're still looking for this one. GitHub theme is basically an extension that will help us to, you know, use different theme, and this will change our Visual Studio Code look. So here I have GitHub theme. I'm going to install it, and after installation we can make some setup. Now it is asking whether we want to use GitHub Dark or any other theme that is provided here. Let's say I want to use this GitHub Dark, which is something I really love to use. And now that I have selected this one, let me go back, and of course there are some changes. And if you want to see more changes, you can go to the setting. If you want to use it more, of course you can always go to the setting and then open the setting.json. You can look for the theme keyword. You can make more changes. Let me go down below and let me show you basically where this one is happening. You can see the color theme I'm using, GitHub Dark. You can change this one. There are so many different values available here. For an example, if I try GitHub, then you can see rain glow. I can select this one. This will of course change a little bit. I can select more. Of course you can see the difference. You can see right now the theme or the look of Visual Studio Code have been changed. Let me get back to the previous one, which was GitHub Dark, because that's the one I really love to use. So I hope this makes sense and you know how to use GitHub theme. All right, the next extension in the list is going to be material icon theme. Let me write it down for you. Material icon theme. There you go. And the reason why you are going to use this one, it will changes the default file icons in VS Code that you can see right now into modern design icons. So it will give you more modern, clean design that basically going to align with the material design principle. Okay, so let me give you the example. Let me install this extension and you'll see the difference here for sure. So let's do that. Here I'm going to go to the extension and then I'm going to search for material icon themes. Let me write it down well, material icon theme, and there you go. You can see 23.8 million installed. So for sure it's one of the popular VS Code extension. Let me install it, and it's going to take a little bit time, and then it's going to ask you whether you want to keep your Visual Studio Code the default one or you want to move to this new one, material icon theme. So let me use this one. I have clicked here, and this should be applied already to all the files. You can see the visualization have been changed here for sure. So please install this one if you want to have fun with the file designing and if you want to keep this material design principles in your project folder for sure. The next coolest and most useful extension I will say is going to be better comments. Let me write it down for you. Better comments is going to be number 12 extension for us. Better comments. And what basically this extension does, it's going to help us to create more readable and organized comments in our code. It will allow us to colorize the comments to differentiate between different types of comments, such as you can create for alerts, queries, to-dos, and highlights. So let me give you the demo here. First of all, you can see I have not installed this one for sure. I can show you. So let me go to the extension here and then let's search for better comments. And then you'll see, of course, it should pop up here. There you go. You can see that 6.9 million installed already. Let me install this one as well. and it's going to take a little bit time. You can go through the README and you can try to understand how basically this one works, and you can see it supports a lot of programming language for sure. So let me just close this one, and let me close this part as well. Now I will show you different type of like comments you can make with this extension just to colorize things and organize your things well. So for an instance, let me go to the index.js file. Let's say you want to create a to-do application or any application. So in this case, probably you will come up with some ideas or plans at the beginning. So for an instance, you want to create an e-commerce website. So in e-commerce website, you may have some plan. Hey, I will create the navbar. Create navbar, then maybe you are planning create footer, then you are planning let's create the landing page or something like that. Let's say let's create a section for showing the products, something like this. So you're making plan, but you can see it's a very plain comments. It does not show any difference here. But now that we have installed this extension called Better Comments, we can see different format of comments. So here you can write to do. So immediately you can see that when I have written to do, it just changed the color here. And I can just make it like to do 1. This is my first task to do 2, and you can see the color already. Things are changing. Here I can say it's going to be to do 3. That's all. So you can see different color, and then if you wish, you can create some warning as well. So for an instance, here I'm going to write, let's say a program for e-commerce application app. Now again, this is very plain one, but if you want to go with, let's say, warning, you can just use this exclamatory symbol after the double slash, and then you can also use this question mark. You can see it also changed the color. For sure, you can highlight. If you use asterisk symbol, you can see different colors. So surely they will make sense in your program if you just leave comments with different color. It basically improves the visualization, it improves the code readability and organization, and it helps to quickly identify different types of comments that you have in your code, and pretty useful for collaboration and documentation as well. Next extension I'm going to introduce called Excalidraw, something I use a lot for explaining things to others or when I make my plan for my documentation for sure. Let me write it down here. Excalidraw number 13, Excalidraw. There you go. Now what does basically this one do? If you look into the name, probably it will give you an idea immediately. Basically it's going to help you to draw something. So it's an extension for creating hand-drawn style diagrams directly within your VS Code. It is a great tool for visualizing ideas, planning, and creating sketches without leaving the editor. So that's all about this extension. Let me show you the use case of this one. I'm going to go to the extension, and here I'm going to search for Excalidraw, and there you go. It's going to take a little bit time. I can see 140k installed already. Let me install it. It may take a little bit time, and you can go through the documentation again to understand how basically this one works. But let me show you in real life example here. So let's say you want to draw something in your VS Code, you want to make a plan, you want to document something. So in this case, what you have to do, you have to create a file. Let's give a name. You can give any name, but the extension has to be in a format that is already instructed in the README of this extension. I'm going to follow that one, Excalidraw. You could use .png if I'm not wrong, but anyway, I'm going to go with this Excalidraw, and immediately you see a code editor, or let's say drawing editor. You can draw anything here in VS Code. So this is what I normally use when I make a plan for my videos or when I want to explain things to other. So here you can just drag and drop, you can write anything here. Let's say hello, and then you can change this text into large, extra large. You can change the font family. There are so many different things you can do. Not only that, you can even export as an image. You can see that you can save to your computer, and you can do a lot of things here, a lot of cool things. You can change the background. There you go. You can see that for sure. But anyway, I think it's better if you spend a little bit time here. You'll be able to know more things. You can even import image here. So you can basically select an image and you can bring that image here in this documentation, and it should pop up here. All right. I hope things make sense. Now it's your time to go through this one and give it a try. That's all. Let me delete this one. There is no need of this one, or maybe I can just leave it, like close it for now. All right, so we have finished like almost 13 extensions. Don't forget to tell me which one you have learned for the first time and which one you have found very useful out of this 13. But we will continue with number 14 here. So let me just write it down, number 14, and it's going to be called error lens. Let me write it down for you, error lens. Or maybe I can come back to this one later on. Before that, I want to go with something called Liveshare. So let me share that one first because that's most useful, another one. So Liveshare, basically it's an extension that will help us to, do real-time collaboration in VS Code. So if you want to share your VS Code with somebody else, and if you want them to collaborate you, if you want them to help you in your VS Code, for sure you can do this. And it's basically going to allows multiple developers to edit and debug the same code base simultaneously. So you can share the same session with live changes for sure. So all you have to do, you have to go to the extension and look for Liveshare. There you go, and I'm going to look for this one, and you can see that basically we need to install this. 17.2 million already installed. And now what we can do, you will see something here in the bottom for sure. It should be somewhere here, Liveshare. I can see it's here in the bottom of my screen on the left side, left bottom. If I click this Liveshare, and it's going to do something here, it's going to take a little bit time. If you want to make it read only, you can click here. If you want to, do not want to make read only, already the invitation link copied to the clipboard, so you can send it to anyone. Now I'm not going to send it to anyone, I'm going to just paste it here. You can see this is the link I can share with anyone, and they can have access to my Visual Studio Code. So this is a very useful one, I would say, if you want to do live collaboration with somebody, or if you are stuck in your code and you want to ask for the help from someone else. So this one will give you the real-time collaboration coding and debugging features for sure. It's secure and easy to set up. You can see that if I click here, now again in the shared one, I can stop the collaboration session. Again, if I click here, I can get the link. The link will be already copied in our clipboard, and if I paste, you can see that link. So it's a secure and easy to set up for the collaboration for sure. Now let me stop it. I clicked here and stop collaboration session. That's all. The next colorful extension I'm going to introduce called color highlight. By looking into this name, you can easily understand what this extension does. It highlights the color in your VS Code editor. So if you select any hexadecimal color or HSL color or RGB color, immediately it will give you a visual feedback for that color values. Now let me show you this thing in real life. Here I'm going to write style tag. Inside the style tag, I'm going to select the body tag from our HTML, and we are going to give a color. Let's say we're going to give a background color, and the name of the background color can be anything, any value, but I'm going to use an hexadecimal color here. Let's say FFF here, and surely you can see there is a small preview. So basically this one represents the white color here. Now if I install the extension that I was talking here, let me go down below, which is this color highlight, you will see the change here for sure. So let me go to the extension, search for the color highlight. Let me just type it here, color highlight, and you can see it is already installed 6.9 million times, or 6.9 million installment already. So let me just install it one more time, and let's go back to the index.html file, and there you go. Now you can see an immediate change here. So you can see that this is an immediate visual feedback for the color values that we provided here. And it simplified the process of working with colors in CSS or in any other files. It supports multiple color formats that I already mentioned. It supports hexadecimal color. You can go with the RGB color. You can go with the HSL color. The next extension I'm going to introduce is called Accessibility Linter. If you're familiar with the term accessibility, so when you write down your HTML codes, you should follow the best practices so that your website is accessible to the disabled people, even it's search engine friendly. In order to do that, of course, there are some good practices that you must know. This accessibility linter extension is going to help you when you are going to write your HTML code. Let me write it here for you. Accessibility linter. There you go. That's the extension. Now let me show you what happened if I do not use this extension. So let's say here I'm now going to use this alternative attribute. I do not see anything wrong here. Of course, there is no warning, but it is a good practice to use alternative attribute or alternate attribute to the image tag. So let me get this extension now, call accessibility linter, and I'm going to install it. There you go. It's going to take a little bit time, and now it is installed. Let me come back to the code, and immediately there is like a red highlight things going on underline. You can see this, and this is basically coming from Xlinter. It tells us ensure image element have alternate text or a role of none or presentation, something like that. So basically, if we add alternative attribute, in case there is a low bandwidth of internet somebody have, they should have some sort of text instead of the image. And of course, your search engine does not read the image. It basically read the text that you provide as an alternate here. So let's say Anisul or code image, for an instance, something like this. This is a good practice when you are like trying to make your website more accessible to others or even more accessible to the search engine. Option number 17 is going to be HTML to CSS autocompletion. Let me write it down for you. HTML to CSS, just a moment. HTML to CSS autocompletion. All right, let me search it for you and let me show you what does this basically do for us. HTML to CSS autocompletion. Just a moment, still it's looking for the extension. There you go. This is the extension we are going to install very soon. It basically will provide some completion suggestion for you for classes and IDs from markup documents to a style sheet. So what does basically this one means? Let's say if you declare an ID or class, for an instance, let me add a class here, and let's call third, or let's say small div, the name of the class here. Okay, and now for an instance you want to search or you want to select this class from the CSS file. Now I don't have any CSS class or CSS file here, so let me just write it down, style.css, and then I can add this CSS file to the HTML file at the top. Let's do that. After the style tag I can do this, so I'm going to link my CSS file here. There you go. Now the file is linked. Let's go to the style.css. And now can you recall what was the name of the class name that we gave to the div? Now if you are very good to remember everything or memorize maybe real quick, then maybe you can tell what was the name of the class name that we assigned to the div. I can go back because I really don't remember, and I have to go down, scroll, and look for the class name. It says small div, and now that I know, I can start writing it here. But this is not convenient for sure. There could be many scenarios where you almost forgot the name that you have assigned in the HTML file, so you can't remember always what was the class name, what was the div name that you have assigned to the HTML element. And that's why we have a cool extension, which is something I have already shown you, HTML to CSS autocompletion, that will do these things automatically for us. I'm going to install it, and the installation process is done. You can read this one a little bit if you wish, but again, for me, I'm going to show you here real quick. So here, if I try dot, immediately you can see the name of a class, the available class name that we have. So it's going to give you automatic suggestion, and then you can select. Let's say if you want to select the div, immediately you can see the name of all the divs that we have in our HTML document. We have first div, second div, third div. So this is a very cool extension for CSS, I would say. This cool extension I'm going to introduce, let me write it down first. It's going to be BAM helper. So let me just write it down. BAM helper, another CSS cool extension, I will say. And why do you need this extension? Now, if you're not familiar with the methodology called BAM, basically it stands for block element and modifier. It's a way to give a convenient name or a consistent name, a better practice that you can follow when you name your CSS classes. So it's a methodology or architecture for naming your CSS classes. Okay, so let me go at the top, and now I'm going to install this. Let me first check whether I have already installed this one or not. So I'm going to look for BAM helper, and basically this one is not installed yet, but you can check. It improves writing HTML using BAM naming convention. Now I will go to my HTML and I'm going to create a new file here. Let's call it here card. And inside card class, I'm going to create another div called card head. Let me put it like this, card head, and maybe card title, for instance, card title. And then I'm going to create one more called card image, and I'm going to create one more called card description. And let me just take this one out from here, and I will put it just like this. So you can see the way I'm naming my CSS classes here a bit strange. Sometimes I'm using here double underscore, sometimes I'm using one underscore, sometimes I'm not giving anything in between, sometimes I'm going to give hyphen. So different people can name the class name different way. This is not the standard way to work with CSS classes name, because there should be one way to follow for everyone, and everyone should be consistent when they're working in a project. Now imagine you are working in a project and every single developers, they're naming the classes name their own way. So this is not the standard way, and that's why we use something called BAM architecture. Now I have a video about the BAM architecture here. I'm not going to explain a lot, but again, when I'm writing, I want to get some suggestion here from that extension. Hey, you are not following the BAM architecture. So that's why we have the extension called BAM helper. Let me install it, and hopefully this one is going to help us the naming the classes. So now after this one is installed, I'm going to close it, and immediately you can see there are some errors or warning I have. It shows BAM class name must be in a kebab case, so we are not following the right pattern here. Now if I use double underscore, the problem is solved. Again, if I use here double hyphen, and this one, of course this is just a modifier, but if I use something like this, immediately I will get the error that you are not following the good practice, or you are not following BAM architecture here. That's what basically it says here. Now again, if I try card here demo, immediately I will get the error that I'm not following the BAM architecture. That's all. Okay, so hopefully this extension also going to help you if you are trying to follow this BAM architecture when you are naming your CSS classes. Another CSS extension I want to introduce here called CSS Flexbox cheat sheet. Let me write it down for you. CSS Flexbox cheat sheet. What basically this one does, you know, Flexbox is a very common layout nowadays we use, and it has many attributes or properties. You can say Flexbox has like many properties like display, then you have justify content, it has many values like center, start, and this and that, and it's very hard to remember how basically all these values work. And that's why you can use this Flexbox cheat sheet in your VS Code to understand how basically all those values will make change to your layout. So let me show you that extension. Here I'm going to search for the extension CSS Flexbox cheat sheet, and you can see that this is the extension I'm talking. It's already installed 277k. I'm going to install this one. There you go. After this one is installed, you can see they are saying basically you need to try Control Shift P or Command Shift P if you are using Mac. So let me use that one, and first of all let me go to the CSS here, and let me select the small div. I'm going to try display flex here, and immediately you see there is something here going on. And if you click here, because you have installed that extension called CSS Flexbox cheat sheet, and that's why you can see some sort of like instruction or info here that you can click, and it will open the Flexbox cheat sheet for you. Now if I open, you can see all those Flexbox like properties and values. If you click like let's say row reverse column, you can see the output changing, and it basically gives you like a basic understanding of all the values, how they work. And if you forget how the display flags work, basically you can use this cheat sheet to remind you what the way this like Flexbox layout work. And I'm sure this one is also going to help you to understand all the values, how they work. And they have a very cool visualization that basically helps a lot without any doubt. Let me introduce you with another cool CSS extension called CSS Navigation. The CSS Navigation extension will allow you to navigate to CSS rules directly from your HTML or JSX files. That means you can jump to the CSS definition of a class or ID by clicking on it from your HTML or JSX files. Now I'm going to show you in action and things will make sense. But before that, let me show you what do I have in my style.css file. You can see there is a class and basically it has display flags. Let me just give one more rules for this first div. Let's say background color, and let's put a color there. That's all. So I have few CSS definition, and let me close these files, and I'm sure I'm using them from my HTML file. You can see that small div and third div. So let's say I want to navigate from here. If I click, I want to go to my CSS definition directly, and this will be possible only if you install the extension called CSS Navigation. So let me install that. Let me go here. Let's get that navigation one. CSS Navigation. So I'm trying to come up with the right word here, CSS Navigation, and there you go. I'm going to install this one. This one is also installed 444K. So of course you can see now the number of installation is quite higher. Now that we have installed this extension, let's give it a try again. I'll go here, the third div. If I click Control, and then you will see that something is showing here. So you have seen that I'm just coming to the CSS definition again. If I keep command, you need to click on command first, so hold the command button, and or in your case, if you are using Windows, in this case you will use control. So you need to just hold the control key if you are using Windows. But if you are using Mac like me, then in this case you are going to hold the command key, and then you need to click on the definition. So here, this third div, let me see whether we have the definition for the third div. Again, I'm going to check my style.css. Actually, we have the definition for first div. We have nothing for the third div. So let me go at the top. If I click here, you can see immediately, if I hold the command key and click the first div, it will take me to the CSS definition, and I'm sure it is making sense to you now. The next few extensions I'm going to discuss completely will be related to JavaScript. So let's start with the first one here. Number 21 is going to be JavaScript ES6 code snippet. So let me write it down for you. JavaScript, and in between I need to write ES6 code snippet. Okay, there you go. All right, the reason why you need to install this, basically this will help you with a lot of useful code snippet for especially related to ES6. It includes shortcuts for common JavaScript syntax and constructs, making it quicker to write standard code patterns. So this will basically increase coding speed with predefined speeds. It will help you to reduce repetitive typing, and it's also going to help you with learning and useful ES6 features. So let me start demonstrating here. At this moment, I do not have this one installed. So let's say if I go to JavaScript one, and here I want to try console log. So what I have to do, if I want to try console log, then I need to write it down for myself. So console log or anything, I have to like type on my own the complete things. But there are a lot of shortcuts that we could use from JavaScript ES6 code snippet. For an instance, if I need to try for each, here you can see that of course I have that one here, the for each one, but there are a lot of like cool snippet are missing because I'm not using that extension I already mentioned here. So let me install this one, and then we'll see what basically this one do for us. So let me just go to the extensions and search for this code snippet one. There you go, that's the one, and you can see it is already installed 15.9 million times here. There you go. Let me install it, and now that it is installed, you can see all the shortcuts basically in the readme, and you can read. So if you try IMP, basically this will give you the import thing. Now the one I want to show you, let's say if you want to create a constructor, all you need to try con and then press enter. If you want to do anything with the console methods, you can try ccl console clear. Then if you want to create the console log, you have to try clg. That will basically give you the entire method name. So now I will show you what changes this one has made for us. So if I try now clg, basically you can see this is coming from this JavaScript ES6 code snippet extension. If I press enter, there you go, a lot of things it is saving for us now. If I want to create a constructor, I will try just con and then press enter. There you go, constructor is created. And now you can see, maybe you can go through all the readmes here and you can find out the one you need and one you try quite often. You can just remember that and you can try that always. For instance, if you want to create a for of, all you have to do, you have to type FOF. If you want to create a for in loop, in this case you just need to try fi in and then press enter. Let me show you here now. Let me come back here and fi in, press enter. There you go, you have the for in loop. You need to if you want to create for of, let's try FOF and press enter. Good job, isn't it? It is saving our time for sure. But previously we created for each loop just like this, but this time we have the shortcut and we can take advantage of the shortcut. So let's try FRE. It's doing exactly the same thing with more shortcuts here. So I hope you did understand what basically this extension is doing for us. The next extension I'm going to talk about is going to be DOM code snippet. If you're dealing with document object model, this one will be very handy. Let me write it down for you. DOM code snippet, and let me check whether I have already installed it or not. If I have already installed, I'm going to uninstall so that I can show you what basically this one is going to do for us. Now I can see that I have not installed it yet. So for an instance, if you want to select something from your HTML, so let's say you have a card here that you want to select from your JavaScript. You know how to do this for sure, but let me give you a real quick overview here. So let's say if I want to select that class, I cannot use any shortcut at this moment because I do not have that extension. So what I have to do, I have to do it manually. That means I have to say document dot query selector for an example, and then I need to use that class name with a dot, and that class name was card, and then I have to assign this one to a variable. So in this case I'm going to say const card. So this is how I can do this for sure. And if I have any ID that I want to select, of course I can do that as well. So let's say I have one here with an ID second div, and this is what I want to select from JavaScript. So all I have to do, I have to go with something like this for an instance, get element by ID, and then I need to use that here, call first div for an instance. This is what I want to select. Let me go back and check again. So let's say I want to select this one, first div, and this is what we can do here for sure. Let me just change the name of the variable as first div. So of course this is something we can do, but again this is taking a little bit time for us. We can save this time by using DOM code snippet, and let me show you how to do this. So let's install this snippet here, and of course as usual you can go through this one. It shows the snippet that you can use, GID for get element by ID, and DQS for document query selector. Then you can check others here as well, DQA for document query selector all, and then in order to create an element you can use DCE. So these are 4 things will come very handy for you for sure. So let me show you. Now that we have installed this extension, all I have to do, let's say get element by ID, I'm going to use this one, and there you go, you can see the magic. And then in the next line, let's say if I want to use document query selector, I will just use DQS shortcut, and there you go, you can see the shortcut. If I want to create an element, here I'm going to say document create element, DCE, and there you go, you can see many things are now real quick. So surely this is another of course I would say helpful extension if you're dealing with document object model. Our next extension is going to help you to catch potential errors and bugs when you are writing your code. So this one is going to be super useful for sure. Let me show you the extension here. The name of the extension is ErrorLens, which is another popular JavaScript extension for sure. Let me write it down here, ErrorLens. So there you go. Okay, let me install this, but before even installing this one, I want to show you the use case of this one. So let me check whether I have this one already installed or not. arrow lens, and you can see right now it is not installed, but you can see that 4.2 million installation. That's huge, I must say. All right, let me open my JavaScript file. Now let me write down here at least one line of code to show you the need of arrow lens here. So let's say if I type const x, immediately you can see there are some errors going on. Of course, under the x variable you can see that, but what kinds of error, it's not clear. Now, wouldn't it be very nice if you would see that error here written already? So when you are typing, it would show you the best practices, whatever the potential errors you are making or the bugs in the earlier stage. For sure, that would be nice, and that's why we need arrow lens. I'm going to install the extension. Let's go to the extension, and again we are going to install this in arrow lens one here, and you can go through, of course, this documentation. It has a good documentation and you can read. All you have to do, you need to enable this arrow lens in your setting.json. I'm going to show you how to do this. So let me go to the setting.json here, setting, and then I'm going to open the setting.json from here, and one line of code you can see that I have already here, arrow lens.enable true. Make sure you have this one, and also this is another line related to arrow lens. So please make sure that you have these two lines in your setting.json. Now let's see the beauty of this one that we have installed. If I come back here immediately, hey, there is something new here. Const declare must be initialized. So you can see that the error message is very much visible now, and it is surely going to help us when we're developing our software. Our next extension is kind of similar to the arrow lens. So basically it's going to help us to identify errors, which is going to be Eslint, another popular one for sure. So let me write it down for you. Eslint. So again, it's going to be a linter. Linter is basically something will help us to find out the errors and bugs at the earlier stage when we're writing our code. Also, it's going to give us the best practices and going to check all the code quality and make sure that we are following the good practices as well. So let me show you how to use this one. Again, it's quite a big one for sure. I will not be able to go through everything when I'm showing you the uses of this extension, but I will try my level best. Let me go to the extension and let me find out Eslint here. And surely it should pop up here. Just give me a second. There you go. You can see that I have already installed this one. So in your case, if you have not installed this one, make sure that you have already installed. Okay. And Eslint, again, basically it's a linter. It's a tool for identifying and reporting programmatic and stylistic error. So you can do both things. One is programmatic error, another one you can, format your things in your code for sure. And Eslint basically does check the static errors before running the program. So I hope you have understood why do you need Eslint. Now it is not only the linter tools. We have JSLint, we have JSHint, many other things. Now when you want to use Eslint, of course you can search online. You can go to the Eslint documentation and you'll find out a lot of things like how to set up Eslint, how to set up the rules for the Eslint. You can check those things from their official site, but here I'm not going to do that. I'll just show you real quick how to use this Eslint things. So again, in your setting.json, maybe you can check up a few things before even you start this Eslint, but I think I'm good to go with this Eslint. Let me show you what we can do with this Eslint. Now of course, make sure that you have your Node.js already installed. Let me open my terminal. Now as I said, Eslint is basically a linter. It's a tool for identifying and reporting programmatic and stylistic error. When you want to use this Eslint in your VS Code, the extension Eslint will help you a lot. So let me show you how to do that. First of all, as I said, make sure that you have your Node.js already installed. And here I'm going to initialize my npm init. Again, if you do not understand what is this, you can just forget about this and you can follow this video. Just keep it up. I'm going to press enter quite many times, and it should create a package.json file for me. It's just a basic file, you can see that. And here now I'm going to configure my Eslint, and in order to do that, all I have to do, I have to type npm init. So I'm initializing here Eslint and /config. There you go. And then of course it's going to ask me a few questions. Let's say I will follow the first one to check syntax and find problems, maybe the last one and enforce code style. and what kind of JavaScript you want to use. If you want to use the modular one, you can go with this modular one. If you want to use in React, Vue, or none of this, you can select none of this. Does your project use TypeScript? No, so I'll go with the no. And again, what kind of software you're making, whether for the front end or back end, I'll select the front end or browser one. Then it is asking whether you want to use a popular style guide. Already something exists, so I will use the Airbnb one. So I'm pressing enter again. And what kind of configuration file do you want? If you want JSON one, then you can select JSON and press enter. And in the end, it's going to ask you whether you want to install everything all together. Yes. And then what kind of package manager do you want to use? I'm going to use npm for sure. That's all. So I just followed few instruction, and this should give me all the setup I need for my Eslint. So you will see something here, Eslint rc.json, and it is following a basic level of like recommendation, good practices from this Airbnb base. And I can show you that one right now. Immediately you can see it is telling me, hey, it is not good to use this unary operator. You should not use this one, and this is not a good practice. So let me change it to the index here, index plus one, which is more readable for sure. And immediately you can see it is applying all the good practices for me. And again, it shows console log is not something expected. It is an unexpected statement. So it has its own basic setup that you can use, and this will tell you the good practices when you are coding for sure. And again, one more thing, you can add rules here, Eslint rules. Again, as I said, you can go to the Eslint website and you can find out all the rules, but at least there are a few rules I can show you here. So let's say if I say no bar, so I can add these rules. This is just a rule that I want to set up, and then I can go with error here. So if someone use bar and they try to declare a variable with bar, immediately it will show the error in this project. So you can set up some rules that everyone needs to follow, and it's a very good tool, I must say, that you should have set up at earlier stage. You know, before doing anything else, you need to set up these things in your project so that everyone in the team, they're following the rules. So no one is going to use bar when they're declaring variables. So for instance, if I try to use bar at this moment, let's say bar x20, immediately I will get an error here for sure. And you can see that this is coming from Eslint. It shows, you know, here all bar declaration must be at the top of the function scope, unexpected bar, use let or const. This is what basically the error is coming from, because we have set up the rules. Now of course you can adjust the rules here. You can say instead of error, you can say warn. So this will give a warning instead of this like error. Now let me just make it again bar. Let me show you. So if I use bar here, and then of course, if I hover over, you can see this is giving me the warning still. And this is coming from your previous linter tool. Let me go back and show you the one we have installed earlier, the extension called ErrorLens. Okay. And there are a few more things I can show you. For an instance, I'm going to use equality operator. So let me go back to the settings rules here again, and let me add one more. So let's say equal. Somebody must use this one, otherwise they will get error. So here I'm going to set it up, and now I can go back to the JavaScript, and here I will say, let's say if x equal y or 3 equal 3, and then we want to do something here. Let's say console log hello. And now immediately you saw something happen when I saved this code. When I hover over this one, it shows expected triple assignment, and instead we saw this double assignment. Something is wrong. This is not something we want to do. And let me do one more thing here. I think instead of this, I will use, let's say, something that will help me to avoid this warning. So let's say, let me go at the top, and maybe I can create a variable here or loop here, and that loop will have index plus 1. So just let me write down few line of code, and here I will say count plus plus, but I do not have that count variable, so let me define it at the top, count zeros. I'm just defining few things. Again, if you do not understand JavaScript, no problem. I'm just trying to show you the use case of Eslint here. Okay, I'm going to say count plus 1. All right, now when I have saved it, immediately you see a lot of things are happening here. We do not have this, so let me just take out this one. I will just say 5, And again, let me just make sure that I'm following like I'm intentionally creating the error. Now let's hover over. Again, you can see the expected here. We are expecting triple assignment, but we got 2. So in this case, this one is already working. If you use warn here, then basically this one will give a warning instead of the error. So again, if you come over here, then basically it's going to show you the error again. But again, if you want to allow this one, then what you can say here, no error, and for that one you can use off. So this time if I go back, there should not be any error for this double assignment, but still we can see that error is gone for sure. Again, it says comparing to itself, it's potentially pointless. So this is not the right things to do. You are just comparing with 3 = 3, so it doesn't make any sense. So that's why it's showing you that error. So a lot of good things is happening. Again, this is coming from our not from Eslint, it is coming from ErrorLens. But again, when you hover over, you see the Eslint also giving you the right message as well, the same thing. So again, you can set up all the rules here. You can use warning, error, or off. These are 3 things you can use for all the rules that you will set up, and everyone must follow these rules according to your setup. One more thing I want to show you. Let's say I want to make sure everyone using camel case when they're defining variables. So here I will say camel case error. So if someone define any variable, they must use this convention, which is this camel case. And let me show you. Let me delete all these things. For an instance, I'm going to say first name, and let's say Anisul here, Anisul Islam. And then let me just show you the error. If I hover over this one, it says first name is assigned but value never used. This is coming from Eslint. So you have assigned a variable but you did not use it. Okay, so we can see that of course we are not using it. That's why we're getting the error, which is completely understandable. But the error I want to make here intentionally is camel case. So if I use something like this, first underscore name, and again if I hover over, now you can see that hey, it is not following the convention called camel case. So if I can make it first name, something like this, now that convention we are following, and it should not give us that error, which was something like this, camel case rules. Okay, I hope this one makes sense, and I did my best to explain you everything in very quick. I have a complete video on this one, around 30 to 35 minutes, but I tried my level best to show you the use cases of Eslinting here. The next extension I'm going to discuss is called npm IntelliSense, another cool extension I must say, and hugely installed, nearly 8 million if I'm not wrong. And this extension basically provides you the autocompletion for npm modules when you want to import in your JavaScript code. It helps you quickly add dependencies to your JavaScript project. So let me show you then in action how basically this works. So let's say if I go to the index.js and if I want to install a package here, let's say npm install body parser, this is what I need. And now if I have to import this one, of course I can write down the code manually, but now we are going to see the use cases of one of the extension that we are going to discuss here, npm IntelliSense. And there you go, you can see 8 million installation here. You can install this. Let me finish this process, and now you can go through this readme and try to understand how this one works, but I will show you real quick. Now that we have installed this extension, let's see how does it work. I'm using Mac, that's why I will try Command-Shift-P. If you are using Windows, try Control-Shift-P. And then you need to find out npm IntelliSense import module. I'll press enter, and then what kind of module you are looking for you can type here. So let's say I'm looking for this body parser npm module, and immediately you can see that it import that for us. Let me try again, Command-Shift-P, and then I'm going to use npm IntelliSense import module. I can try here anything. For an instance, let's say I want to try Express, so I will look for Express, press enter, and it does not show it here because we do not have Express already installed. But now let me do that here, npm install Express. I want to install Express package here, and after installing this one, again we will try. So we'll go Command-Shift-P again and npm IntelliSense import module, and there you go. Now you can see there are 2 packages we have. I will try this Express one, and immediately it adds that line here. So that's the cool thing it does for us. It makes sure that when you are trying to import something, it does it automatically, speed up the dependency management and reduce the errors when you are trying to import the packages. Another cool extension is called import cost, which is basically display the size of the imported package in line in the editor. I'm going to show you real quick how basically that one works. But before that, I want to remind you that I have deleted the node modules folder and Eslint things from this project. It wasn't necessary, but let me add the new one here, which is import cost. And in order to show the use case of this one, I need to import, at least I need to install a few packages. So let me do that real quick. I'm going to initialize npm first before installing any npm packages. And now that I have the package.json file there, I can install a package. Let's say npm install body parser. This is the one I'm going to install. And after the installation process is done, let's try to use it from our index.js file. Remember that we already installed one package earlier. If you do not recall, let me remind you again, npm IntelliSense, and that can help you to import anything here real quick. So let's try that. We are going to use this npm IntelliSense import module, and the one we want to use is called body parser. Now, whenever I have installed here the import line added here, it does not show the size of this imported package. But if I install the package that I just mentioned here, which is called import cost, it will show the size. Let me show you. Import cost, that's the one I'm going to install, and you can see it's 3.8 million installed for sure. So we are going to use this, and let's see how this one works. Anyway, I'm sure you will also find this one handy, like just to know what is the actual size of this one. That's all, nothing more than that. All right, so let's use this. And for that, if I go back to my code in the index.js file, it should calculate the size, and that size is showing right now here. So you can see it's also a cool, of course, extension. All right, it's time to introduce you with some of the API testing extension. If you want to test your APIs, you can do that from your VS Code with the help of some of the extension. The first one I'm going to start with called REST client. Again, this is an extension that will allow you to send HTTP requests and view responses directly within your VS Code. So this will help you to eliminate the need for external tools like Postman, if you're familiar with that. Again, I'm going to pick up one API that I'm going to test. Of course, you can see I do not have any API, so I'm going to test somebody's API. And for that reason, I'm going to use this fakestoreapi.com. And they have like a lot of things here, but I will go to view details on docs. And then I will try my level best to show you how to make get request, post request, put request, delete request. So let's start with the first one. So we have an endpoint that we can make a get request. So let's see what we can do. We can create a file here, but first of all, we need to add this extension. So we need to install it. So let me open my extension manager here, and I can search for REST client. There you go, it should pop up here. Just wait a moment, and now I'm going to install it. You can see the extension, it has been installed 4.6 million, around 4.6 million. So of course it's quite high. So now that we have this package installed, it's time to, our extension install, it's time to use this one. So how can you use this one? In order to use this one, all you have to do, you have to create a file. So let's do that. Here we're going to create a file, and the name of the file can be anything. So in this case, I'm using API. You can use anything, but the endpoint or the extension has to be HTTP. Remember that, because you are going to use this one for making HTTP request, and you'll get the response based on that. So here, first one, I want to make a get request. So if you want to make a get request, you need to use get keyword here, and then you need to provide the endpoint where you are going to make the request. That's all. So now I can try this one. I can make the call. So if I try send request, immediately it's going to give me responses. You can see that it's returning a lot of products here, and I can scroll. Again, I think it returns around 20 products if I'm not wrong. And here you can see that response. Great. Now you can add more requests here, but in order to play with different requests, all you have to do, if you want to separate each request, you need to use triple hash here, and basically this will separate each request, and you can test them separately now. So let's say I want to make a request, one more request here.
So let's say if you want to get a single product, you can make a request to the with the ID 1. So let me do that. Here I'm going to add the ID 1, and now I'm going to make the request. This should give us the success response, which is 200 OK, and also this should return us the data itself. And here I can see the data. Great. Let's continue. The next one I want to make is a delete request. So let me see whether I can find the delete request. Let me go down below. So let's see if I want to delete a product. How can we do that? So add a new product, update a product, and delete a product. I can see. So all we have to do, we have to just pass the ID of that product. Okay, fair enough. Let me check. Again, I'm going through this one. I can go back. Maybe this will give us more like clear ideas. So here you can see if you want to delete, all you have to do, you have to pass the ID. All right, now I'm going to copy and paste this one down below and make sure to keep a space. And then this time we are going to make the delete request. So I need to type delete here, and then I can make the request now with the ID. Let's see, it gives us 200 OK response, and we are getting the data back. That's all. So the delete request also working completely fine here. Now let's see whether we can make some other request like post request. If we want to create something, we can do that. So for that, let's make the request. Here I'm going to copy and paste this one down below, and this time I want to create a resource, so I'm going to use post instead of delete. And if we want to create something, we can go through that one. So let's go through the documentation again one more time, and let's see how can we create a product. I'm going to scroll a little bit here, add new product, and you can see you can make a request to the /products. So for this reason, we're not going to use any ID. And as a JSON data, we can pass this data. So let me copy this one, and let me go down below here. After this request, all we have to do, we have to make the content type here as JSON. Now again, if you're not familiar with this, no problem, you can ignore this extension. But of course, you will feel the need at some point when you want to test your API. Maybe you are using .NET, or maybe you are using React. So from front end, you want to test your API, you can do that for sure. Okay, fair enough. Now I'm going to paste the data that I will use to create the product. I think here I'm going to paste it. That's something I already copied, but again, it has to be JSON data. So make sure to pass JSON data here. And let me just organize this one a little bit real quick. All right. And of course, all the JSON data, they needs to have a double quotation. So let me select all of them. All right. And for this one, I'm going to use double quotation. This one will be also inside double quotation, and the last one here, we are going to use double quotation. Great. Now that we have the data, it's time to make the request. But of course, remember that when you're making the request, there should be some sort of space. Otherwise, things will not work here, and you will get some sort of error. So what do I mean by that? After the request, you should have some space for the content type. Okay. So let's make the request now. Send request, and it shows 200 OK. So basically it creates a new ID and it's working completely fine. Great. Now the only one left, I guess, is the update one. I can show you that one. So you can see that you can make a request with an ID if you want to update something. So all we have to do, we can maybe copy this one. But before even doing that, let me make sure that we are copying the hash as well. And then I can update this one. I can use put method, and then I can pass an ID. And the content type here, what do we have? Let me check what are the data we need to pass. We can pass this few things here, maybe. So let's try. If I make the request, let's see what happened. Okay, and if this one is also successful, you can see that. Fair enough. So things are working brilliantly. So now I hope you have some idea how to test your API endpoints with the REST client without any need of any external extension. Now the next one I'm going to show you, for the same reason, you can use Thunder Client, which is basically again an alternative of Postman, or you can take an alternative of this REST client, which has like in your VS Code, it has more graphical user interface. Now for our REST client, we do not have any graphical user interface.
All right, let me write down the name of the extension that I'm going to introduce, which is Thunder Client. And first of all, I want to make sure whether this one is already installed or not. So I can go to the extension. I can use Command Shift X, or I can use Control Shift X to check whether I have the Thunder client, and you can see that it is already installed. In my case, you can already, if it is not installed, then you can install this one just to test how this one works. Now, how can you use this one? All you have to do, you need to open it. So I'm going to use Command-Shift-P. You can use Control-Shift-P, and then you can search for Thunder client. You can see that this is basically available at this moment. But if you have Thunder client, of course, you can make the new request. If I click here, and you can see the graphical user interface for making the request. Now we can test our API that we're basically trying here. I'm going to copy these endpoints, and I'm going to make the request. Let's see whether this GET request work. I'm just making the request, and there you go. You have better output here, and you can see things really well. So again, if you are not happy with the REST client, then you can use the Thunder client. It will give you better output and better UI for sure. Again, you can make the request, you can make all other requests: post request, put request, delete request. For instance, if you want to make a post request, you can come here and then you can select the body, then you can pass the JSON data here. So let me go back again. The request that we made earlier, we can use that one. So this is the data that we have used earlier. I can copy this one and I can paste it here. There you go. And now we can make the request. Let's see whether it's going to work or not. So if I make the request and we have a bad request, why is that? We can have a look. Of course, something is not right here. And it says line is invalid in line number 1. And why is that? So it seems we need to use double quotation here just to make sure that things are going to work. And now I can make the request and it shows that things are working perfectly. So I hope it makes sense, and you can try this. Of course, it has many features. For an example, you can save this request for later on. I can show you one example. So let's say if I open the Thunder client from here on this side, and I can make the request, I can create folder, or I can create collection. So you can group all these requests that you are making, and later on you can come to the collection. You can see that I have already created few collection, and under this collection I can have many requests. So here, for an example, under this collection I have few requests that I can try anytime. Okay, I hope this makes sense to you. The next extension I'm going to show you, it's called JSON to TypeScript, another handy extension if you want to convert JSON data to TypeScript. I'll give you a quick demo, but before that, let me just write the name of the extension that I'm going to show you, called JSON to TypeScript. So first of all, I need some JSON data, and that's why I created a test.json file. And the API I tested earlier, I made a request to the API, and I have copied all the data that I need from that API. So I just need some JSON data anyway. It doesn't mean whatever JSON data you have, it's going to work, no problem. So this is a JSON data. This is a sample data for a product, and that's what I want to use to create a TypeScript definition for this JSON data. So first of all, I need to install that package that I have shown you called JSON to TypeScript. Let's install that one first. It's going to take a little bit time, and there you go, it is already installed. If you're in your case, if it is not installed, please install this one. And now that we have this one installed, we can go to the test.json again. I'm going to select just the object, one object here, JSON, and I'm going to copy this one. Then I will go to the TypeScript file. I do not have any TypeScript file, so let me make a TypeScript file. Let's call it types.ts. And I have already one file with the same name, so I will just remove these things from here, and you can see that I have a clean file called types.ts. Here, what I will do, I will use the keyboard shortcut here, Command-Shift-P, because I'm using Mac. In your case, you might want to use Control-Shift-P. So then I am going to use here JSON to, or you can search for convert. Let me show you again. Let me escape this one. I will just use convert, and you can see JSON to TS, convert from clipboard. This is what I'm going to use, and immediately it's going to create the data type for us. This extension is going to be related to TypeScript again. If you're not familiar with TypeScript, you might skip this extension. So let me show you the next extension, something, as I said, related to TypeScript, and the name of that extension is called Pretty TypeScript Error. Here you can see that I have already opened this pretty TypeScript error. I'm going to uninstall this one first. I want to show you what does this one do before even installing this one. I want to see what is the problem, and then we are going to fix the problem with this extension. Again, there is no problem at all, but it's basically going to, you know, beautify the error, or it's going to make the error message a little bit more better. That's all. So here we'll go to the TypeScript file, and here I'm going to create a user, and that user will have two things. Let's say the user will have ID, which is going to be string, and the user will have name. Again, this is going to be string. Then the user can have age, which is going to be number. So that's what I'm expecting that user will have. And now I can assign the value for the user. The first one is going to be ID, which is going to be a string 101 in this case. But now I'm missing few things. Surely this one will give us the TypeScript error, and you can see the TypeScript error that we have at this moment. But we can make this message a little bit more beautiful with the extension that I have shown you earlier. So let me search that again, TypeScript, and let me just finish this here, TypeScript, and the one that we want to install is called pretty TypeScript error. Let's install this one, and after the installation, now when we'll come back again, and if we hover over this one, there you go, it's something more beautiful than before. You can see this error message. So you can beautify, or you can make your error message, TypeScript error message, more beautiful with this extension. Next extension is going to be related to Markdown. And if you are not sure what is Markdown, then let me show you. So basically you can name anything here. Let's say readme.md. This should be the extension of this Markdown. And basically this is something you will see in any project for like documenting the project in order to show like how to install the project, how to run the project. So there will be some sort of information. And again, if you're familiar with Git and GitHub, surely you are familiar with this readme.md. Now, of course, when you create the Markdown, you can see the preview. So for that, you can install one package. Let me show you how to create the Markdown things here. So let's say here we are learning VS Code extension, VS Code extensions, and then I can type here a few things. Let's say first thing we have learned, live server. So we are going to put all the things that we have learned. Let me put at least few things. Liveshare. Then we have seen Eslint, we have seen how the vscode-pets things work. So there are a few things we have already seen. Now, of course, when you are typing here, you do not know how it's going to look like when you are going to push this code to maybe somewhere, so that you want to see how the readme.md, what will be the output of this one. This is a Markdown syntax that we are following. Here, if you click, you can see the quick preview here. Now there are a few extensions that will help you to preview this a little bit more better, I would say. So let me look for those extensions. Here I'm going to search for Markdown Previewer. Good, and then we'll try to find out the one we're looking for. So I can see this Markdown Editor. I have never tried this one, but the one we're looking for, it's called Markdown Preview. So let's see, we are getting it right. Preview. Good. There are quite many extensions, and I'm going to use this one, the enhanced one. Okay, so you can go through this one, of course, and it will give us a little bit more better. That's what I'm expecting. And by the way, let's see whether this one is going to work or not, what changes this one is basically going to make. So if you want to open the preview to the slide, you can use Command K or Control KB. So let's see, Command K and then V. All right, here we are, and let me check the preview now. Let me close this one, and then I'm going to check the preview. This is much more better than the previous one for sure. So you can see things already in action, and it's working fine. And let me write it down for you. Of course, the name I'm going to also mention here, because we are listing out all the extension that we are trying to learn. So the one we have just seen called Markdown Preview and enhanced. All right, and the next one, which is also going to be related to the Markdown. So let's say when you are writing your Markdown things, you want to also make sure that it's following the proper syntax. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say after this one, you are going to create hash. So you are trying to use, basically you are not following the order here. So you should follow the order. After first hash, you should have two hashes. So it's like HTML things, H1, H2, H3, those type of things. And also, let's say if I put things here, this does not give me any error, and it does not help us to organize our things in README. So we can install one extension for that, and let me show you what is that extension. So let me open this one, and let's say markdownlint, if I'm not wrong, that should be the extension. Let me search for you, and it's going to pop up. So markdownlint, this is the one, and you can see it's already installed like nearly 7 million, so it's quite huge without any doubt. So let me install this one. There you go. And now if I go back, this should already help us. And if I come back here, the markdown linter should help us here. So if I save, immediately something is changing. Let's see, let's wait a little bit time. Maybe sometimes things can take time here. Okay, we have not installed this one. It's still not installed. So let me just click here. Maybe I have done something wrong. Now I have installed this one. It should already work. And when I'm back, again, let me check. Okay, it's installed. So when I'm back here, I'm getting the error with the help of this extension called markdownlint here already. So it says we should follow the order. After the first one, we should use second. And then again, you have some warning, and it shows here duplicate heading. So you have exact same name for the heading. So here I'm going to remove this one. And if I save this one, still we have some error, and it's coming from that extension. It's saying that you are leaving some space. So it's saying, you know, you should remove those space. So it is already helping. You can see that linter, markdown linter, is helping us a lot. Now that should be all related to markdown extension. Now I'm going to move on with some of the, you know, icons extension. At least one extension I want to mention. Here you can see my activity bar here. Basically this one is called activity bar. It looks a little bit, you know, different than yours. And if you are, you know, still trying to figure out why it does look like that, it's because of one extension, and that extension is called Fluent icon. So let me get that one here. And again, I want to write it down. Fluent icon. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, so let's give it a try. By the way, the previous extension was here markdownlint. All right, and now we can give a try of installing this one. So Fluent icon, I have already that one installed. I'm just going to show you real quick. And there you go, you can see Fluent icon. This is what I'm using. After, let's say, okay, let me uninstall this one, and when I will uninstall, you will see the changes for sure. Immediately things have been changed. If I install it again back, you will see the changes, especially for the debugging and other stuff. And there you go, you can see they're a little bit changed, and then you can select which one you want to keep. I'm going to keep the Fluent icon. There you go. Hope this makes sense. Now there are a few extensions I'm going to show you that will be very handy if you are like somebody who wants to go with the themes. So already I have shown you one theme extension. Let me check, which was like number 10, GitHub theme, but there is some other theme extension also available. At least I want to show you a few. So let's say the coolest one I will show you here, Andromeda. Okay, that's the theme extension. So let me search this one for you, Andromeda. And then let me uninstall it first, because I already installed this one. So I have uninstalled this one, and again I'm going to install it. And the moment I will install it, will ask me whether I want to keep this one. I want to use this Andromeda for the current theme. Yes, I'm going to use it for the current theme. And immediately you will see some changes for sure. A lot of things are happening here. Now we have the extension called Andromeda, the theme which is applied here. I can open the calculator.js and you can see the changes for sure. And it makes complete sense. Now the next one I'm going to show you, it's called Cyberpunk. So let me show you that one as well. But before that, I want to keep some notes. So the next theme is going to be Cyberpunk. So at least 3 or 4 themes I want to show you. Cyberpunk. All right, now let me show you how this one basically is going to change the look here. So I'm going to open the extension explorer and let's search for Cyberpunk. And if everything goes right, we can install this. I have already installed this one. Let me uninstall this one first, and then I can install again just to show you how things gonna make changes here with the help of this extension. And now I can activate the Cyberpunk, and it's going to give you a little bit look like, you know, the hackers things for sure. It looks like we're hacking somebody. Anyway, So this is another theme. You can see maybe it doesn't look like that much cool, but let me open the calculator.js and you can see the changes here for sure. There is one more actually that will give actually something similar like hacker theme I wanted to have. So let me show you that one. Let me just write it down here. Number 36 is going to be pro hacker theme. Let me just get that here, pro hacker theme. So this is what I was looking for, and for that reason I need to install it. So pro hacker theme, and it should already pop up here. I have already installed this one, so I'm going to uninstall just to show you how basically this one is going to make the changes. Let me install this one, and after the installation we need to select. So we are going to select this pro hacker theme, and this is the one basically look like a little bit like we are hacking, you know, things look very like beautiful, I would say, from my point of view. And there you go, you can see the changes for sure here. But anyway, I'll get back to my previous like theme selection that I had, which is the GitHub one. So for that reason I'm going to go to the select things. So here I will open my settings, and then I will look for theme, and from there I'm going to select color theme, which is going to be GitHub. So let me search for the GitHub one here. I will take a little bit time, and I'm going to use the GitHub Dark. That was the previous one, and I'm still happy with the previous one. Okay. The next cool extension is to be for those who are starting React.js, or maybe it's been a while you are practicing React.js, and surely this extension is going to make your development process much more faster. Here is the name of the extension. You can see that I have already written, and you can search this one. I have already searched. If you type ES7, that's the first one basically is popping up here. I'm going to install this, and surely this will give us many shortcuts that we can use for React, Redux, and many other things, also for GraphQL, as you can see here. So you can go through this README, and surely you can of course learn a lot of things. So let's say if you want to create a component, then you need to use RCC. This will create a React class component. If you want to create a React class export, I can see that this is the one I can use. Maybe, yeah, I can go through everything maybe one by one, but well, instead of like spending time here, I will go to the JavaScript file and I will start practicing them here together with you. So let's say if I want to create a functional component, I can try RFC, React functional component, and there you go. Immediately it creates a functional component for us. Let's say I want to create a class component, RCC, and there you go. It creates a class component for us. If I want to create RAFC, which is basically means I want to create an arrow function component, and there you go. This time I have an arrow function component. If I want to create, let's say RFCE, that means I want to create a functional component, and that's all. We have the functional component, and we have also the export default. There are so many versions you can try here. Maybe you can go through that README of the extension and you can try them out. That's for sure. It's going to help a lot of time. It's going to save a lot of time for you without any doubt. The next extension I'm going to show you called ERD Editor. So let me write it down for you here. Number 38, we have ERD Editor. So if you want to, create table for relational diagram, you can do that with the help of this editor, or with this extension, ERD Editor. Let me show you real quick how this one basically works. Editor. All right, fair enough. Now I fixed the spelling here, and I can search for that. All I have to do, I have to go to the extension explorer, Control-Shift-X or Command-Shift-X, and then you can look for ERD Editor, and it's going to pop up here. I have already installed actually earlier, but now I can see that I have uninstalled this one. I'm going to install this one again. So let me do that. I will install this one, and it shows already you can create entity relationship diagram in your VS Code extension, and this is very handy as well. So let me show you how to use this one, this ERD Editor. So all you have to do here, let's say you need to open a file for this one, so we can check again the extension. If we cannot figure out something, we can always check the extension. So let's go back to the ERD Editor, and you can read the README here. So basically they are saying you need to create an empty file with ERD, the extension .erd or .erd.json. You can choose any one of them. So let's go with this one, .erd, and we are going to create a file. Let's call here user management.erd, And now that we have this ERD, if I click anywhere, this should help us to create a new table. So if I click right button, you can see that I can create a table. I can give the name of the table, anything that I like. Let's say it's going to be a student table, and then you can add the rows here or columns, whatever you say. So here, let's say I want to add a column to the student table. It's going to be an ID column. So let me just write it down, ID. Then I can assign data type. If I click here, this should give me some sort of data type. Let's say I want to use small integer, I can use that. If I want to use varchar, I can use that. So basically you can create, you know, your database planning with the help of this user management, with the help of this ERD extension, ERD editor. So again, I'm going to remind you what basically this ERD editor does. You can, you know, create your data model inside your VS Code. You can make the plan for your database. And surely this is also handy when you're creating your API, you know, when you're creating your database management system in the backend. So you need to know first what are the things will be there in the database, in your table, what are the data you are going to store. So you need to make a plan. This extension I'm going to show you is called Code Spell Checker. This basically going to help us to catch spelling mistake when we're writing our command string, or even when we're writing a plain text. So it basically improves the code documentation and readability, reduces the spelling errors in our commands and string, and it supports custom dictionaries and language settings. But let's see how this one works. So I'm going to install this one. I'm going to open the extension search or explorer here, and then I'm going to search for this Code Spell Checker. Let's look for this one. And real quick, it is here. You can see the install here, 10.8 million. That's a lot, I must say. So we can also use this one. Let's start using this one and let's have fun with this one. So I'm going to click the installation, and it's going to install real quick, and we'll see. Of course, you can read the README, you can go through the documentation, and they're showing basically how this one helps. So let me go back, and I will go to my maybe JavaScript file, and I want to see whether it does work or not. I can see that if we define a variable, it should give us some error. So let's see, cons first value. Let's make some mistake intentionally, and let's give some value there. So now I gave some value, and I can see that it shows this is an unknown word, and who is basically giving us this error. So our dictionary, is it working? We can check. It says unknown word and C spells. Of course, the one we have already installed, this Code Spell Checker, it's working already, and we can fix this one. So let's fix this one. Let's say first value. We can use this quick fix, and we can do quite many things here, but the one we want to do, we want to fix this error, first value, and there you go. Now the error is gone. But again, we can check always this documentation, and of course you can see how basically this one is working. So they can fix, yes, so it gives some sort of like warning message for us when we're making any spelling mistake, when we're typing the text, or whenever we're typing the commands, strings, those type of things. Okay, so hopefully this extension also makes sense to you. Extension I'm going to show you called .env, something I have already opened here. You can see it's going to be extension number 40, and let me write it down for you, .env. So what basically this extension does, let me show you. It's going to highlight, you know, things in your .env file. So there are many times during the development process we need to store some of the secret things in our env file. Let me show you what basically this one does. So first I'm going to create .env file here, and let's say you want to store your password, or maybe any API key or whatever. So let me write it down. Let's say API key, and then I'm going to give some value for this API key, something like very weird. Let's put some value there, and maybe my password, let's say database password for an instance, and then I'm going to write it down. Let's say Anisul1234. Anisul1234. Okay, so at this moment you can see that there is no highlighting, nothing like that, because I do not have that extension. So let me install that extension, and let's see what changes this one is going to apply to our .env file. And surely I can see there are some color things are happening here already. And if you go through this extension readme, you can see that you can maybe try to use hash keyword, hash variable, those type of things. You can add commands as well. So here I'm going to say variables, and then also what we can do, we can use export. So let's see how it's going to change the look if I use export here. Export, All right, so I can see there are some highlight color things I have been applied because of this extension called .env. And that's all. That should be all for this extension, I guess. But you can spend some time and you can go through this extension. You'll find more things about this extension maybe. But let me end this here. The next extension, I'm going to show you something called related to Git, and it's going to be called Git Graph. Let me show you how basically this one works and why we would install this one. So basically, this extension is going to help us to visualize the repository's commit history in a graph format. And for that reason, I need to initialize Git here. Let me do that. I'm going to initialize Git, and then I'm going to add some commit here. Let me start creating the first commit. Let's say git commit m initial commit. Now, if you're not familiar with Git, things will not make sense and you can skip this extension for sure. So I'm going to write initial commits. I have one commit now. And then I will make some changes and I will make another commit. Let me add a git ignore file. I'm going to do anything, or maybe I will change some text. So let's do that. I'm going to go at the top, going to add some text somewhere. Hello, beautiful. So this is the text that I added, and I'm going to add any commit here just intentionally anyway. Git commit. Let's call this is our second commit. And now we have two commits. Okay. Now let's use this Git graph. Let me show you how to use this one. So first of all, we need to, get that extension. So we need to open our extension explorer, and then we can search for Git graph, and it should pop up that extension that we are looking for, Git graph. Let's see, where is this one gone now? Git graph. Okay, and now there you go. This is what I have already installed. I can uninstall just to show you, and then it shows reload required. I'm going to reload again, and then I'm going to look for that one again just to install. Okay, it's taking a bit time. Let's search for that one, Git graph. Good, and it should pop up here very soon. There you go. We are going to install. You can see it's 8.3 million installs. So another huge one, I must say. Git graph 8.3. I'm just keeping some notes for me here real quick. Git graph 8.3 million install. Okay, of course the number can change when probably you're watching this video, maybe after a few months, you never know. Anyway, now that we have installed this one, how to use this Git graph? So it's pretty easy, I must say. In order to use this one, first of all, you need to have a Git repository in your VS Code, and then you can use Command-Shift-P, and then you can type Git graph. So let me show you how to do that. Let me close this one, and then let me open here the command prompt, and here I'm going to type Git graph. And then after that, you can see there are quite many things with this Git graph, but I want to go with the view one. So there has to be something called view Git graph. If I click here, and there you go, it shows initial commit, second commit, there is a graph, and it's beautiful again. You might find this one some helpful, of course. But in my case, well, I do not use this one a lot, but I just wanted to show you. All right, I'm going to stop here. Last few hours probably you are watching all the extension and their use cases. I tried my level best to find out all the useful extension for you so that you can make your development process faster. Surely last few days I was looking for all those extensions and I was testing them out before teaching you here. It has cost a lot of time, and I'm very happy if it does help you. So make sure to leave some comments if you have found this video useful, and please don't forget to share this video with others if you think that it will help them as well. Thank you very much. Happy coding. See you soon with some other topic.